Public Works, Procurement, and Contracting Committee meeting for Wednesday, July the 26th, 2023 will be called to order. Roll call, please.
And just as a reminder to all who are in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Mr. Tuma.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Here. Ms. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
There is a quorum.
All right, thank you. And is there any public comment this morning, Madam Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, no one is signed in.
Okay, and could I have approval of minutes from the July 12th, 2023 meeting?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And Madam Clerk, if we could have the first of our legislation read into the record.
Resolution number 2023-0209, declaring that public convenience and welfare requires the resurfacing of Snow Road from Ridge Road to State Road in the city of Parma at a total estimated project cost of $2,429,196.
Okay, and if you could just please state your name for the record. Okay, and what's this particular piece of legislation regarding?
This is for the resurfacing of Snow Road from Ridge to State. It's 1.3 miles, and it has over 24,000 cars, every day. And we have federal contribution of 80%, and then Parma is going to provide 10, and we provide the last 10.
Okay, and what's the timeline on this? When's it start? When's it end?
It's going to sell for the spring of 25, but as we know, we need to get started with the design early, so we're going to shoot for this fall starting that.
Okay, and I noticed this was resurfaced in 2009.
Correct.
So what's the life expectancy of one of these types of projects?
Well, because there's 24,000 cars daily, there's a large amount. There's a large amount of traffic. So they don't want that road to get to a point where they need to do a full brand new road. They can just keep resurfacing it. So that's the intent of doing that this early. So typically it's between 10 and 15 years. And by the time we would construct, it'd be 16 years old.
Okay,
So,
and just again, what's the intended start date on
the
this?
spring of 25.
Spring of 25. Okay, any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seems pretty straightforward, and it's Parma, so.
I do have, there needs to be an amendment to the second to last whereas. So it was stated that it's Cleveland/Cleveland Metro Parks, and that needs to be changed to Parma.
Okay, should I do it by motion, Madam Clerk? Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend that to read Cleveland/Parma.
No, just Parma.
Okay, I'll redo that then. I'll make a motion to amend that to Parma as opposed to Cleveland Metro Parks. Strike that from the record.
Second.
I have a second. We have a motion and a second to amend that portion.
And then lastly, could we please have the second reading suspended so we can get the design started?
Okay, even though this is starting in 2020.
We want to get the agreements going this fall.
Okay. If no one has any objections to that, I'll make a motion to move this on for second reading and
Excuse me,
suspend.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
Finish
Can you
first.
vote on
You're
the
right.
amendment?
You're right. We have to do the amendment first. So I'll take a motion to vote on the amendment.
It's just a vote.
We have a
Just
motion.
vote.
That's right. We have.
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Is the local council person supportive?
And, yeah, could you add my name too? All right, well, we're at it. Thank you. So we approve the amendment, and with that, I'll make a motion to move R 2023-0209 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a
As
second?
amended.
As amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move R 2023-0209 on as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you,
you.
Madam Clerk. That was nice and smooth. All right.
Resolution number 2023-0210, approving right-of-way exhibits as set forth in plat number M-5052 for rehabilitation of North Marginal Road connector from East 9th Street to East 55th Street in the city of Cleveland.
Okay, if you could just state your name for the record.
Yep, it's Jessica Shamshum French, Department of Public Works. The county needs to acquire temporary easements for the North Marginal Road Connector Project. It is going to be a multimodal trail along the north side of North Marginal Road, 2.7 miles. And then all of the improvements will be within the right-of-way. However, to construct the project, we will need to go onto other people's property. Most of the property is the airport property with some yacht clubs and an apartment complex as well. We will be acquiring as soon as we gain approval. We need to finish acquiring in the fall, looking at construction summer of next year.
As far as the North Marginal Road, is that a county road?
It's a city road.
So why would we be covering the cost of the right-of-ways on that?
So we have different grant. We're heading up the project itself. There's federal money as well as a local Mandel grant.
Okay.
The Mandel $5 million grant. It's a partnership with Cleveland Metro Parks, City of Cleveland, and Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
But we are leading the design and the coordination.
If it's a partnership, are they going to be paying anything into it or no?
Most of this part will be covered by that Mandel grant that all the partners worked on to
Okay.
obtain.
Do you expect any issues with landowners, or is everybody kind of getting on board with this?
Everybody's on board. We've had many meetings. We're going to be dealing with the FAA, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Open it up to questions.
Just want to add my name.
Okay, Councilwoman Conway would like to add her name.
And Turner.
And Turner. If we could have both those councilwomen's name added to that, please. Mr. Miller?
I'll add my name as well.
Mr. Miller would like to add his name as well.
I'm adding mine if
And
everybody
Mr.
else is
Sweeney
adding
will
theirs.
add his name as well.
And I thought, to the chair, I thought that Nicole had spoken about this connector, a recent conversation.
Yeah, I believe she did. Is this just the right-of-ways for that?
Yep, so we
Yeah.
did convenience and welfare last committee. You're correct. I tried to make it short and sweet
Okay.
because I'm sure you all heard.
Yeah, no,
The
yeah,
long
it was like
spiel.
deja vu or something. Yes. Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? And then the timeframe on this, I would imagine we got to get moving on this.
I'm requesting second reading suspension, if that's okay, just so, and again, all parties have been spoken to that we'll be
Okay.
acquiring from.
If no one has any objections, I'll make a motion for moving R 2023-0210 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to move R 2023-0210 on for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. And ayes have it. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, next piece of legislation, thank you.
Resolution number 2023-0211, fixing the 2024 water, storm, and sanitary sewer maintenance and/or sewage treatment rates for county sewer districts numbers 1, 1A, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 13, 14, 18, 20, 21, 22, and 24.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Tom Sotek, representing Public Works.
All right, and what is this legislation regarding?
Okay, this legislation actually is, and this one and the next one, number 12, they're kind of tied at the hip. They're both required in our sanitary division per the ORC. On an annual basis, you have to fix the rates and the subsequent assessments, both for your communities. Something we do every year. It's kind of our, I guess, rate maintenance or something like that. But so I have, and I'm not sure if you have I do have some corrections here, and I don't know if you have the corrections or not. If you don't, I guess we'd have to do another amendment for this. Oh boy. Okay, anyway, so I want to point out just the changes for this year. So your changes may not be accurate, but it says that this, on the page 237, it says that that should be 2024. Does yours say 2024 or 2023? Is it say?
What page would that be? It doesn't coordinate with ours because
I'd have to, can you show me?
Yeah.
if you want to take us, page 51 for us, I believe? Okay. All right. So to the committee, it's page 51, 52. Yeah, I think. Have we figured that out? Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Sure, yeah.
Councilwoman?
Through the chair to Tom, is there a map or something that your department has? We see the county sewer districts in relation to what districts they actually sit in.
Actually, yes, because I was actually wondering about that myself. So Laura Weber, our sanitary engineer, emailed me the maps of all the districts because I was wondering about that myself.
Oops.
I could forward that to you if you'd like.
Okay.
I could
That's not
have
on the
that.
record, but that's okay.
Yeah, I can have those. They're kind of separate for, we don't have, I'll look. I don't know if we have one for the whole area, but we have separate maps for the different regions if you're interested.
Okay.
Right.
Regions in
Oh,
terms
the
of.
cities, like,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. Because I was looking into that last night.
As long as they highlight, what county district it is, that would be interesting to know.
Okay. From my understanding, Mr. Sotak, there's a number of changes that have to be made on the legislation. So the clerk suggested we do a proposed substitute at the next council meeting. They're dealing with rate changes.
I'm going to have to ask that this be, I'm going to respectfully request that this be done only because
Okay.
our deadline to do this is, I believe, September 11th this year, per the ORC.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. So what he's saying is the committee can pass it out and then just approve the changes at the council meeting. So it'll still be approved.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're technically.
We just can't do all the
Just can't do all this.
stuff
There's just a
today.
ton of them in there. Just,
Okay, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
we just, ordinarily it wouldn't, but because of just the way things are all stacking together here, I think it's,
that's fine. So, I'm sorry, the councilwoman had a question. Did you get?
I did off
Okay.
the record, it's okay.
Okay,
I don't need to
you had your
restate it,
question
I don't
answered?
think.
Okay. Why don't you continue, Mr. Sotak?
sure. So the other changes for this year, there was a rate changes. There were only 2 rate changes, and they were both in sewer District Number 9. First one is in Garfield Heights. The sanitary rate was increased to $2.70 per linear foot from $2.20. Storm sewers remained the same. Maple Heights, that was kind of a reappropriation. The sanitary sewer fund, the rate per foot was raised to $2.60 a foot. It was $2.25. And the storm sewer rate per foot is now 60 cents. It was 95 cents. So they kind of just reappropriated that and that. And those are the only changes for this year.
Right, and again, these are just required by Ohio Revised Code. We've done this, we do this annually. As far as is there a maximum fee we can charge?
Well, actually, to my knowledge, no, I can ask you, but I can tell you that the highest one we have, I can tell you that one is in, I think, Moreland Hills. Let me see. It's $10 a foot, I can tell you that. Where was that one at? It's,
Are the rates negotiated with each individual municipality?
correct, yes, we do that every year we meet with the cities and and it's determined on, typically it's determined on what the outlook for work is, what work they anticipate being needed, and plus how their fund is doing. A lot of cities, their funds are solvent, they're above water. Sometimes the funds get a little dangerously low and they may have to, change some of the funding around. But if they change the funding, that's done through the municipalities, and obviously their council has to pass that. Their particular councils have to pass that. I'm trying to look for this here. Oh, Gates Mills, $10 a foot. I found it.
Okay. Appreciate that. Questions from my colleagues on this? No, again.
If they could, if we could hear what exactly is going to be changed,
Yeah,
that would be helpful,
that's fine.
or what needs to be changed, I should say.
Janine, you had those changes. Is there any way we could just hear what,
Yes, actually, the clerk just took them.
oh, she took it. Okay,
Trevor got something.
Yeah. So it was the changing from 2023 to 2024 on the list. And then the sewer area number 9 that I just discussed, those were incorrectly shown. And in section 3, the deadline for this is September 11th, not September 14th. That's shown on there. Those are the changes I see.
And through the chair, this
Yes.
just is for 0211, just the item that we're talking about, not the next item that looks similar.
This one is 11, yes.
okay. Any other questions?
You know what? Excuse me, I misspoke. 12, too, the date is wrong on 12, just the date is wrong on 12. It's September 11th on number 12 as well.
Okay, is that one, that's one we could probably just amend here, right? If it's just at one date?
Yes, if you'd like.
Okay, but let's take care of 11 first. Okay, with that, any other additional questions? So, and you're asking this for second reading suspension because of the time frame here.
Yes, please.
All right, so if there are no objections, I'll make a motion to move our 2023-0211 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. And then we'll get that proposed substitute at the meeting. And Mr. Sotek, just, could we read into the record the next one? I know it's a companion piece, but we still,
Resolution number 2023-0212, approving and confirming the 2024 water, storm, and sanitary sewer maintenance and/or sewage treatment assessments.
okay, and again, just your name for the record.
Tom Sotek, Public Works.
And this, again, is just companion piece with the rest of the legislation.
Right, it's the resultant assessments.
Okay, and I'll make that motion and the change, amend the date in this piece of legislation on our 2023-0212 to the year 2000.
Yeah, it would be September 11th, it's in section 6, September 11th, 2023.
To September 11th, 2024, and strike the prior date in the legislation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Hold on.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Miller?
I heard it once as September 11, 2003, and I heard it once as September 11, 2004. Which is it supposed to be?
The date is September 11th of this year, so it's September 11th, 2023.
So that's the correct date?
That's the correct date,
Okay,
yes.
so I will I will pull my motion,
I'll do the same.
make a new motion to correct this piece of legislation as indicating September 11th, 2023, striking the prior date. And
Second.
we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Amending. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and our 2023-0212 is amended. And I will make a motion to move our 2023-0212 on for second reading suspension as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move our 2023-0212 as amended on for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. All right, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, the next piece of legislation.
Resolution number 2023-0213, making an award on requisition number 12725 with specialized construction in the amount not to exceed $1,082,130.86 for asphalt resurface preservation, crack sealing, and striping for the 2023 countywide preventative maintenance program.
Okay, Mr. Sotek, I'm sorry, state your name for the record.
Yes, Tom Sotek. Good morning, everybody, representing Public Works. This item is our annual, or as annual as we try to make it, but we typically do this every year. It's our countywide preventative maintenance, crack sealing, and striping program. It's in various cities within Cuyahoga County. And basically, the work involves treating the roads with either crack seal, asphalt surface preservation, striping of various pavements, of our roads, and typically they are roads that we sponsor the projects. They're county-sponsored projects, and, anywhere from like 2 to 5 years. The concrete pavements, we do some crack sealing on the concrete pavements that we've installed. That's typically about a 5 to 7 year range. And then the asphalt, we try to get that, depending on the traffic situation, we try to get those, anywhere from about 1 to 4 years after those are completed. And, we started this program again, to preserve the work we do. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into our projects, and sometimes, we just want to make sure that they get the initial treatment that they have. And unfortunately, in this world, money is tight sometimes, and the pavement maintenance is one of the last things that I think a lot of cities are for whatever reason. But the most important time, in our opinion, to give these roads a treatment is early on, when before it becomes really a political issue. That's the most important time, and we feel as though we can lengthen the life of these pavements by doing this now. 10 years down the road, we can lengthen the life of the pavements and actually save money down the road. So that's the purpose of that. So I'll open the floor to any questions that anyone may have.
Okay. Can you explain the SBE or DBE goals? There was a set aside, I see.
Yeah, let's see. I know that my understanding is they met the goal. It was a DBE set aside for this. And then, but they also still required to meet the goals for the WBE and the MBE, which I believe in this case they did. I'm looking at the tab sheet here. It looks like they did.
Who had the contract previously, do you know?
I probably, if I don't know off the top, I would say I can get that to you, but I think it's specialized, but I'll double check that.
Okay, if you could get us that and the figures that went with that, the prior cost on that. Councilwoman Conwell, you have a question?
Yes, through the chair to Mr. Sortek. In terms of the preventive maintenance program, has it expanded to other cities? Has anyone else been included to be in that program?
Well, we try to do it annually, and typically it would be done in the cities where we've sponsored projects, like I said, within the last 2 to 5 years. So it just would depend on where those communities actually are, and if we did a county-sponsored. By county-sponsored, we either managed the design, or we managed the construction, and we put the bulk of the money, the bulk of the money in this. So it just depends on where those projects are, but it changes it changes on a yearly basis, but
Yeah,
typically it hits pretty much everywhere.
To my understanding, it was cities that had agreed to join this program.
Well, I think that's the preventative maintenance. There's a little bit
Gotcha.
difference. That's the preventative maintenance program, which is pretty much we agree on the roads that they're going to do, and then we give them money on the materials and that. This is different because we're actually running a contract on this program.
Okay, it's named the same, though. So how do you know which one is different?
It is
Because this is the preventative maintenance program as well.
Well, I think you're right. I guess it's countywide preventative maintenance. The official one is crack sealing, striping, that. So it's a little bit different, but you're right. Maybe we need to look at some semantics. There's some, and maybe rename that in the future because it can be confusing. I understand.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions? What type of time frame are we working on here?
Well, I respectfully request a suspension for second reading. I don't like to do that all the time, but just because of the gap, we want to do get this in this year. So that's why it's critical. But yeah, this fall.
Okay, if no one has objection, I'll make a motion to move R 2023-0213 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, the next resolution here, please.
Resolution number 2023-0214, making awards on requisition number 12381 with various engineering firms in a total amount not to exceed $1,350,000 for general engineering services
Okay, and again, if you could just state your name for the record.
Morning, Eric Mack, again here. This was an award through an RFQ process, and we typically have these annually. This helps our staff design roads and bridges, and we selected 3 firms, one of which is an SBE set aside. And they've all met the diversity goals of 20% SBE, 8% MBE, and 2% WBE. This contract's funded through the Road and Bridge Fund, and it's based off of an on-call process, and it's for small bridges and roads.
What are some of the projects that these vendors would be working on specifically?
Specifically, like last year's road resurfacing throughout the county, and through some small bridge structures. For example, last year we had a culvert and some small bridges done through this process.
Okay. Are these first-time vendors with the county, or they've done work before with the county?
So our SBE is the same one it's 3 years ago, but the first and second firms are relatively new to the county.
Okay. Questions or comments from my colleagues? When is the contract for this supposed to begin?
We would like second reading a suspension if possible, because we want to work with our road and bridge staff to find those projects that we can get started on as soon as possible.
Okay. If anybody has any concerns,
Mr. Chair, I'm just not used to this one. I
Okay.
don't think we've done something like this. So I just want to understand that this is not for a specific job.
No.
It's just, you sent out an RFP, and these 3 companies bid for just engineering services that could be, what, roads, bridges?
is this overflow
repair,
that the county
what?
can't handle, or?
This is overflow for smaller size projects for
Small
task
size.
orders between 10 and maybe up to $100,000.
And have we done this?
And we've done this, and we award annually. And last year's firms, we still have them under contract doing smaller projects, and so this is this year's round.
So are they this? I know you said one was the same, and then the other 2 are new. right?
New, correct.
I just don't remember.
Any questions? Any additional questions? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand when there's like specialized projects and things like that. I just, I don't know how the efficiency is sometimes on some of this, but if we've done this in the past, then I suppose this is something that you guys you need to have done, so.
Yes, this helps support our staff.
Okay. I'll make a motion to move R 2023-0214 on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Can
Matt-
I ask one more
Oh,
question?
sure. Councilwoman has another question.
Through the chair to Mr. Mack. So I know there's a set dollar amount. Never mind, I answered my own question. I see the individual dollar amounts for so it's not to exceed.
Not to exceed $450,000 each.
And I do have one question more procedurally is, these are annual contracts. Why are they coming so late to us where it's second reading suspension on these? You
Because
guys
of
know
the
that-
break that we are going to have, we wanted to get them under.
But you guys know that there's a break, though. I'm not throwing it on you. I'm just
No,
saying. It's just-
correct.
We've got 7 pieces of legislation. I think 6 of them are under suspension of the rules, so.
Just on a
Yeah.
point of process?
Yeah.
Thank you. They're all 1 years?
They're all 3-year, so this one will then expire in 2026.
Got it. Okay, I thought I heard him say it's.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions? All right. Madam Clerk, the next resolution.
Resolution number 2023-0215, making an award on requisition number 12731 with R.L. Hill Management in the amount not to exceed $2,155,521 for construction of a multipurpose room addition at the Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter.
Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record, names for the record.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Christine Petro, Chief Section Architect for the Department of Public Works.
Okay,
We are here today requesting approval of a contract to R.L. Hill Management Incorporated for the anticipated construction cost of $2,155,521 for the Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter Multipurpose Room Addition. The project consists of a single-story slab-on-grade structure of approximately 2,300 square feet. It is a multi-purpose room to be utilized for training, meetings, and other functions associated with the operation of the Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter. In addition, this addition will expand the existing single-story facility, which was constructed in 2001. The construction involves an exposed steel frame clad with materials that match the existing facility to the greatest extent possible to provide a seamless aesthetic. The facilities design and construction section of the Department of Public Works exercised design oversight with the architect of record to ensure that the addition continued the form and design of the existing building's unique presence and iconic identity. And if I may, there was, I think we had a slide that we had requested to be shown. And I do have, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go on, go on.
The project includes a new mechanical system, utilizing a new rooftop-mounted HVAC unit independent of the existing building, providing interior space conditioning with exposed painted ductwork. The electrical and plumbing systems will be an extension of the existing building services. The interior will consist of maintenance-friendly surface finishes, which are easily cleaned and sanitized, along with acoustical panels secured to the underside of the roof decking, all specified with the needs of the animal shelter in mind. A new backlit wall-mounted building sign on the new facade consisting of the animal shelter's logo is included in the scope of the work, providing recognizable identification. Having worked, a new entrance, separate and secureable from the main building entrance, is proposed to allow for access after hours and special events. Having worked within and with the local jurisdiction to obtain required variances, the exterior site improvements consist of expanded asphalt paving for parking and vehicular circulation, concrete sidewalk and curb replacement, new landscaping, new fencing and gates, and new artificial turf for outdoor dog play areas. Anticipated construction duration is from September 12th, 2023 through September 23rd, 2024. This project was competitively bid with a consultant's estimate of $2,028,847 and diversity goals of SBE at 5%, MBE at 16%, and WBE at 9%. 3 bids were received on June 25th, 2023. All 3 bidders have recently either successfully completed or are in the process of delivering capital improvement projects for the county through the Department of Public Works. All 3 bidders are MBE certified contractors. However, all were deemed non-compliant by DEI for shortcomings on achieving diversity goals and/or shortcomings on their good faith effort documentation. The lowest and best bid submitted by R.L. Hill Management Incorporated committed to 5.35% SBE, 16% MBE, and 6.26% WBE. The bidder submitted an administration reconsideration request, of which the shortcoming is believed to be curable, and supplemental commitment to DEI is actively in process. An administrative reconsideration has been scheduled for August 3rd, 2023 at 3:00 p.m. R.L. Hill Management's bid is 3.4% above the consultant's estimate, yet under the 10% threshold as dictated by the Ohio Revised Code. Approval is being recommended due to the immediate need for contract award. We sincerely hope that we could get the contractor mobilized and we can get excavation foundations in place before the winter season. The total appropriation for this project is $2.7 million. Funding consists of 66% general fund, of which $50,000 is ARPA money committed to by Councilwoman Sunny Simon, and 34% private donation. Respectfully to all, the Department of Public Works is requesting approval on second reading suspension.
All right, thank you. Yeah, there's a lot there. Well, I guess my first question will go to, with respect to the being non-compliant, the bidder being non-compliant. So there's a hearing scheduled for August 23rd on that?
August 3rd, sir.
August 3rd. And what happens if that doesn't go in a positive way for the bidder? What happens if we approve this and it doesn't pan out there?
That's a good question. I can't speak for DEI, but in my conversation with the bidder, and I know DEI has been in contact with them as well, they are looking at pulling on additional WBE firms. Mm-hmm. They have not disclosed to us who those firms are, but they're expanding their contract in order to meet or exceed, and that's their words, that goal.
Is there someone here from Equity Inclusion? I thought I saw an email somewhere. Okay, and if you could just state your name for the record, I appreciate you being here today.
Jennifer Wilson, Department of Equity and Inclusion.
Okay, and so I raised the concern if the hearing doesn't go in favor of the bidder, what happens to the entire legislation that we approved?
It would be still deemed as non-compliant. It would go back to Public Works for their next steps, but it would still be deemed as non-compliant. If they agree with Lenore Lockett's decision that they're non-compliant, it will stay in the non-compliant process.
And that, how does that impact what we're doing, I guess is my question.
It would go back to Public Works.
Public.
Yeah, it'd still be as it is right now. Like right now, they're non-compliant, they will still be deemed non-compliant. I don't know what your next steps is with Public Works.
So, in the past, we've had a contract where even though the bidder was deemed non-compliant, the administrative review reconsideration panel did approve them for their good faith efforts. Okay.
All right. So again, here's my thing. So this is a big project, right? And it's just that I just find it, difficult to understand how there's just not any other bidder in Cuyahoga County that would be compliant for a project of this nature. That's just my only concern. But I understand, I know the office works in reality as well as aspiration. I understand that. But it would just be my hope that we'd be able to find some, business that would be compliant with all the DEI goals. So.
On that point, Mr. Chair, so I'm kind of, if it's non-compliant and it goes back to Public Works, we've already voted on it. Would it come back to us in any way for the Cuyahoga County residents to know that what the status is, or will we have to revote in any way?
I'm not certain of the procedure, in all honesty. Certainly, we are doing everything we can to encourage all of our bidders to meet the goals. Like I mentioned, we had a project that just recently went before the Administrative Reconsideration Board, and even though their documentation was questionable with regard to their good faith effort, they were able to bolster their stance and the reconsideration board approved them. In our case, for this particular project, this contractor is currently working on the project for the men's shelter, 2020 Lakeside Avenue. That project's about 50% complete, and they've been doing a great job. Very good communication, very competent. In talking with the president, or I think he's the president of the firm owner, Mr. Hill himself, the president. He has voiced to me on more than one occasion that he can meet or exceed that WBE percentage. He has subcontractors that have contacted him post-bid that he said that he's going to bring on into the contract. Unfortunately, he hasn't disclosed that information to us, so we can only hope that he's going to provide us with that information at the administrative reconsideration panel.
I see Mr. Sotek has something to add, and then we'll get to Mr. Miller.
Good morning, once again, Tom Sotek, representing Public Works. I just wanted to briefly add that first of all three bidders were non-compliant. The bidder that we believe is the lowest and best was, of those, in our opinion, the most compliant, and they missed the mark by like 2 or 3%, so they're very close, and they're an SBE themselves. So I just wanted to add that just for your consideration.
Appreciate it. Mr. Miller?
So, Mr. Chairman, first I have a question as to whether this item is included in the current year's capital, 5-year capital plan.
Yes, it was.
It was, okay. And
If so,
can we confirm that?
I can certainly do that.
Okay. And secondly, Mr. Chairman, to my colleagues, my suggestion would be that we add an amendment saying that that this contract is contingent on approval by the reconsideration board. And so if it gets approved by the reconsideration board and if we pass it on suspension on August 1st and it's approved by the reconsideration board 2 days later on August 3rd, well, then you would be good to go. And if it's...
But I think it's August 23rd.
August 3rd.
Oh, it's August 3rd?
August 3rd.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yes,
that
the
makes a
3rd.
difference. I appreciate that.
But if it doesn't get approved by the reconsideration board, well, then I think Public Works has an additional process to go through, and you'd have to bring it back in September, and we figure out what to do about it.
I'll second that motion.
Well, I'm not going to make that as a motion yet. I'm looking for guidance from the chair.
Yeah,
as to whether
that sounds like a plan to me. If I could just, maybe from the law director, what happens if it's not compliant and council approves?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's a very good question. I will look into that and get back to you.
Okay, then I, such a lawyer. So well, we'll continue to hear more discussion on that, but I think I'm going to go along with what Councilman Miller recommended, because that will allow us to move forward with everything contingent on approval of the, from DEI on that. And it sounds to me like DEI is okay with moving this forward right now. Is that accurate? Okay. With that, then, so let me ask you some additional questions. I see there's some private donations. Are we permitted to use private donations for the county, work?
Mindy Naccioni, shelter director for the Cuyahoga County Animal Shelter. We had 2 bequests that left money to the shelter for our use. One was specified restrictions on how to use, but one of them was for the enhancement of the life of the animals. And we felt that this room, which will provide a space for the animals to play in hot weather like today, where they're playing outside this morning, will give them that enhancement, as well as in, of course, the inclement weather that we receive. Dogs currently play outside every morning 365 days a year, and so they and the volunteers and staff are exposed to that. So both of those bequests are being used towards this build.
Okay, appreciate that. Why is the timeline so quick on this, by the way? They're going to get this done in a month?
We didn't receive the full set of documents until, well, we started out the planning of this late last year. We had to wait for the design consultant to provide us with the complete set of documents that we oversaw, me personally, in order to make it a tight set, so that we don't have any of our interests compromised, and we're dealing with change orders and RFIs and things like that. And we did a good job because all of the bids were very, very close. I mean, it was a good showing. But, you know, we bid it in April, I think. I'm sorry. It must have been the end of April. So we got the bids, you know, we had to go through the customary bid time. And we're just running out of time, to be honest with you. You know, the intent was to get the foundations in before the snow flies.
Okay. All right. Mr. Sotak, you had something to add?
Thank you. Tom Sotak, once again. I've add one more thing that I know that there's been extensive coordination between Matt Reimer and Lenora on this issue. So there's been extensive coordination to have talk back and forth. So they're very well aware of this. And also I would say too, I respectfully request the committee to take into account that we have a 60-day deadline between the time that we open bids and the time that we have to actually execute the contract that we're always concerned about, because we have a limited window there. So I just, respectfully ask for your consideration on this.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Any additional questions, Ms. Conwell?
Through the chair, just wanted to know, most of my questions were asked, what type of, who is the reconsideration board? Who sits on that?
Ray McDaniel, Shantae McCurdy, Dale Armbruster, Stephen Witt.
Is this a stationary board? I mean, it's the same people all the time whenever these, okay. Is this, remember it ever being termed as the reconsideration board? Who selected those individuals to sit on this?
I believe the county executive.
Okay, because I don't think that's one that comes through the HR at all. So, okay, we're going to do some investigation on that. So, Director Lockett would have more information on that?
Yes.
Okay. And is the current contractor who's working on the homeless shelter renovations at this time, did they meet the WBE goals for the homeless shelter? You said it was the same one.
I would have to check our records on that. Offhand, I truly don't want to give any misinformation. I can only assume that they did, because I know they did not go before the administrative reconsideration board.
Could you confirm that for me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions, Mr. Sweeney?
Just tell me about the dog shelter. Is it overcrowded? Is it running good? Because it's new, it's fancy, and it's...
So in terms of the shelter for this year, that's a big conversation.
It's more curious. Yes.
But I mean, we're doing well. We continue to grow. The shelter is experiencing, like many businesses, some post-pandemic changes that are making it a little bit different. The reason for this build in 2020, we brought the general service team down and converted our only meeting space, our conference room, into their offices. So the animal shelter is funded primarily through the sale of dog licenses, and that general service team processed. And that needed a streamline. And there was a bit of a disconnect between us and them, and just the evolution it had taken over these last few years. We have done that now, but we now have no meetings. We have no meeting space whatsoever. In addition to, our playgroups are the cornerstone of how we keep animals alive. So that's that daily play outside. So this space will give us that flex. In between that, we've also developed humane education programs. So we have students from the age of 9 to 15 and a bunch of clubs that come in, and we have nowhere for them to go. We want to continue to educate, and so this space will be used for some of that, along with some other training programs as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got the gist of the space, but I was just asking the health and.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
We're
God, we have
very full.
We're very full.
We're
That's
very
all
full.
I need. I just needed to
Yes,
know.
if social media, I'm sorry, yes, social media will attest, we are frequently running specials to help move animals out and keep our live release rate in a healthy place. But a lot of animals are coming in.
Keep up the good work. and
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that.
All right, thank you.
Chair, on the visual, can they show us where the new structure will?
Yeah, if you could maybe explain where the new structure is. I was kind of wondering that myself. Is that the square part?
No, actually, this is the existing building here. Okay. I don't know if you can see.
Yes.
This is the new entrance with the logo, and this is the new addition back here.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Seeing none, I am going to take up Councilman Miller's recommendation. And if we, I'd like to make an amendment to the legislation, adding this language that passage of our 2023-0215 is contingent upon approval by the Reconsideration Board on August 3rd, 2023.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to R 2023-0215. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. And having said that, if there are no further questions, I'll make a recommendation to move this on for second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to move R 2023-0215 as amended on for second reading suspension. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. And thank you. And good luck.
Thank you.
With the project. Sounds like a great project.
We're really looking forward to it.
All right.
Thank you for your consideration.
You'll let me know if once it goes to the reconsideration board, if it'll have to come back before us. I know we put that in the language, but I still wanted to know that.
As soon as
answer.
I'm notified, I will let you know.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Is there anything miscellaneous business before the committee this morning? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are adjourned at 10:56 a.m.